Right, Alec, keep it short and snappy. You can't keep doing these 54-minute, 55-minute, 56-minute pods. People are going to be switching off in their 2s and 3s. You can't keep doing these hour-long videos, especially when the season's getting even more intense. That's us get 8 games. 8 games in this group stage alone. That's European fit, but we're already had the 2 games against Dynamo Kiev, and we're into the semi-finals of the League Cup, which, by the way, we're playing Motherwell at Hampden, and I have heard that Motherwell have already played a league game at Hampden this season, so that's a bit of an advantage for them as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why Gilligan was sucking up with the SFA and the SPFL this week when they're quite happily taking the mickey out of Rangers. And that one, practically an away game for us at a semi-final, out of order. But just, you're boring folk to death, Alec. Quick, sharp, to the point. Come on, basically pod like you shit. And no lists, no lists. You're the only person in the world who's interested in big, long lists of fitba teams. Nobody else is. So just stop it. And for God's sake, stop talking about your holidays. Oh, I mean, you managed to get your 2008 trip to Chicago into Saturday's pod about beating Dundee in the League Cup quarter-final at Ibrox. I mean, what the you've turned into the kind of modern version of one of the guys in the 1970s who would invite folk round for a drink, and then he'd put on his slideshow his fortnight in Mallorca. You really... Hi folks, how you doing? Right, okay. Hey guys. We're going to keep this quick, sharp, to the point. I know you're busy. The jail's kicking off all too soon in Malmö, so I want you to do me a wee favour here. I'll keep talking. Okay, I'll keep talking. You get yourself onto the laptop, or maybe you're on the laptop already. Open up another tab. I don't know. Bring up the list of the Wikipedia page of all the European Cup and Champions League finals. The list of European Cup Champions League finals. Every final that's been played in the European Cup Champions League. Bring that up, right? Have a wee look down that. You know, look in the right-hand column. Keep your eye on the right-hand column. I mean, on the left-hand side, it will give you the year. No, 55, 56 season. I don't know if it just says 56 of the final. The final's 1956, 57, 58, or 56, and maybe it'll be Paris, or it'll actually say Parc des Princes, I don't know, and 57, the Bernabeu, Madrid. 58 will be the Heysel Stadium, Brussels, and 59 was Neckar Stadium, Stuttgart, and then 60 was Hampden, 61's the Wankdorf and Bern. Stop it. That bit there, those are the left columns, but there'll be teams coming down the left-hand side. No, I want the teams on the right-hand side. I want the runners up, because they're interesting. That's a bit. Because the winners is just so repetitive, so boring. You'll see it. It's 1956 Real Madrid, 57 Real Madrid, 58 Real Madrid, 59 Real Madrid, 60. Wow, Real Madrid. 61 Benfica, 62 Benfica, 63 Milan, 64 Internazionale, 65 Internazionale, 66 Real Madrid, 67 I can't even remember, 68 Manchester United, 69 Milan, 70. Feyenoord, okay, 71 Ajax, 72 Ajax, 73 Ajax, 74 Bayern München, 75 Bayern München, 76 Bayern bloody München, 77 Liverpool, 78 Liverpool, 79 Nottingham Forest, 80 Nottingham Forest, 81 Liverpool, 82 Aston Villa, 83 HSV, Hamburg, SV Hamburg, 84 Liverpool, 85 Juventus, 86 Steaua Bucharest, 87 Porto, 88 PSV Eindhoven, 89 Milan, 90 Milan, 91 Crvena Zvezda Belgrade, no, Red Star Belgrade, 92 Barcelona, 93 the first ever year of the Champions League, Olympique Marseille, although they weren't allowed to defend their title, 94 Milan, 95 Ajax Amsterdam, 96 Juventus, 97 Borussia Dortmund, 98 Real Madrid, 99 that's 26th of May 1999, that's the day I get married. Manchester United, 2000. Real Madrid, 2001, Bayern München, 2002, Real Madrid, although I was at that final, 2003, Milan, 2004, excuse me, Porto again, 2005, Liverpool, 2006, Barcelona, 2007, there's Milan, 2008, Manchester United, 2009, Barcelona, 2010, Internazionale, 2011, Barcelona, 2012, who's that? Was Chelsea? Oh, Chelsea, wow, 2013, Bayern München 2014, Real Madrid 2015, Barcelona 2016, Real Madrid 2017, Real Madrid 2018, Real Madrid 2019, Liverpool 2020, Bayern München 2021, Chelsea 2022, Real Madrid 2023, Man City 2024, Real Madrid. I don't look at that's quite a boring left hand side. I want to look at the right hand side. Look at runners up. because you see, like the first one you'll see, 56 is Stade de Reims. No, Stade de Reims, have you even heard of them? A lot of folk, it's Reims, And I think it used to be called Stade de Reims Champagne, it's the Champagne region kind of sponsored them, and they're playing the first final. And that's cool, 58 was 2 years later. That was Milan lost in the Heysel. 57 was Fiorentina, so that's interesting. 58 Milan, a lot of you, but that was their first time in the final. 59 Stade de Reims again, okay, in Stuttgart. But that's fine. 60 was Eintracht Frankfurt. 61 Barcelona. 62 Real Madrid. 63 Benfica. 64 Real Madrid. 65 Benfica. 66 Partizan Belgrade. 67 Internazionale. 68 Benfica. 69 Ajax of Amsterdam. 70 Celtic. Celtic were actually runners up in the European Cup final. 1970. 71 Panathinaikos. That was 2 years in the trot. The runners up were wearing a lot of green. 72 was Internazionale. 73 Juventus. 74 Atletico de Madrid. 75 Leeds United. 76 San Etienne. 77 Borussia Mönchengladbach. 78 Club Brugge. Our managers alma mater. And 79 Malmo FF Malmo, the sky blue team from Malmo, the city where Verlander always goes to take on the bikers. I'll get some information off the bikers. It's never usually happening in Malmo. The thing that he's going to sort out, the wee village, is it Istad, the wee village that he comes from. It's always ends up being the centre of an international drug smuggling ring, international nuclear arms trading ring, international. It's a hell of a place, but he goes to Malmo to get some kind of, it's always a biker gangs, and there's a snitch or something like that, there's an informant there, you get a bit of hassle, he doesn't want to have to go, it's a big smoke and all that. It's nothing like that. It's lovely, it's absolutely beautiful. I did see some bikers when I went there. Went to Copenhagen for a week back in 2016, and you get the bridge, Orison Brown, the bridge over there, in the TV series, the bridge. It's good. The one that's set in Malmo and Copenhagen, because the bridge joins the two places together. So I was over there 2016, spent the day. It was a Monday in Malmo. Quietest place I've ever been in my life. Now, mate that went there wasn't for the fit, but he also went for the day trip, went to Copenhagen a few years later and went to Malmo, and he said it was absolutely jumping. But the day we went there, I don't know if Monday's a half day shutting or something like that, but it was and first thing I did, went to cash line, got some money out, and it was Ingmar Bergman was on the notes. I thought, mental, you know what I mean? It's either going to be ABBA or, the chef for the Muppets, but I was just, that's Ingmar Bergman's on the actual banknotes. How cool is that? It's probably like if you had Robbie Burns on the banknotes here or something like that. It was just really, really cliched. But it was a wee square, nice wee square in the kind of the oldie worldy style, and it was fairly busy with a smattering of tourists. But the main thing I remember is somebody had killed themselves. Somebody had thrown themselves on the line in the trains for Copenhagen to Malmo were delayed because somebody took them. And that added to the whole kind of Scandi noir vibe, so that was quite good. That was a wee bonus. Well, the trains were delayed because somebody had topped themselves. I hope we're not feeling in a similar mood. It's been really sensitive tomorrow night. Welcome to your Fat Egg. Rangers are back in the life, the thug life, the high life, the real life, the only life for us. It's the UEFA Europa League life that we've been living hard since 2017, be it going out embarrassingly early or making it all the way to the final and losing it heartbreakingly late in the evening on penalties. Preview pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet Sunday night pod will be up there. Jersnet on YouTube. The Sunday night pod there, it was Colin and Craig and Ben. That was a really good assessment of everything that's been going on at Ibrox the previous week in the D game and the Saturday nights, and a wee look ahead to tonight's game. Check that one out. I'm coming to you in association with them, and also with runners-up in the European Cup or the Champions League. That's what I'm sponsored by, runners-up in the European Cup or the Champions League. Not talking about teams like 1980, I think it was highest value. Hamburg 81 was Real Madrid, 82 Bayern München, 83 Juventus, 84 was AS Roma, 85 was Liverpool, 86 was Barcelona, 87 was Bayern München, 88 was Benfica, 89 Steaua Bucharest, 90 Benfica, 91 was Olympique de Marseille, 92 Sampdoria, 93 Milan, 94 was Barcelona, 95 Milan, 96 was, who was that? Ajax Amsterdam, 97 Juventus, 98 Juventus, 99 Bayern München, 2000 that was Valencia, 2001 2001 was Valencia again, 2002 Bayer Leverkusen, I was at that one, 2003 that was at Old Trafford and it was Juventus, 2004 was AS Monaco, 2005 Milan, 2006 Arsenal, 2007 Liverpool, 2008 Chelsea, 2009 Manchester United, the English clubs. 2010 Bayern München, 2011 was Manchester United, 2012 was Bayern München, 2013 was Borussia Dortmund. You see the amount of times there one of the finals featured at either Manchester United or Bayern München. You go through the winners and the losers, and Borussia Dortmund. 2014 was La Decima, Atletico de Madrid. 2015 was Juventus, 2016 Atletico de Madrid again, 2017 Juventus, 2018 Liverpool, 2019 Tottenham, 2020 was Paris Saint-Germain, 2021 was Manchester City, 2022 Liverpool, 2023 Internazionale, 2024 Borussia Dortmund. So that's coming to you in connected with the runners-up. And the point I'm trying to make is I'm very, very interested, emotionally invested, you might say, in European finals. And Malmo have a history with us. They've got a history in Europe, and they've got a history in the European Cup final, or the European Cup / Champions League final, and also the World Club Championship, Intercontinental Cup as it used to be known. They're also the only team other than Manchester City to play the European Cup or Champions League final in a sky blue home top. And it was a real problem. Napoli won the 1989 UEFA Cup. They beat VfB Stuttgart. It was in home and away. Maradona's Napoli, and I think at that point, they were the only team ever to win a European trophy wearing a sky blue home jersey. Because Manchester City won the Cup Winners' Cup in 1970, but they were wearing the red and black stripe away kit, in which they won the actual FA Cup final in '69 to get them to that. Neil Young, I wanna live, I wanna get. He scored in both the FA Cup final and then in the Cup Winners' Cup final in Vienna. But they wore that, and then when they wore the sky blue top in the 2021 Champions League final against Chelsea, both teams wearing their home strips blue in a blue stadium in Porto do Dragão, very blue affair. Manchester City lost, and I thought, yeah, that's just like Malmo in '79. Malmo got memorably losing the European Cup final in 1979 to Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest, the first time Forest won it, and they lost it in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. Neither team ever reached the final before. Bob Houghton, he was the manager of Malmo at that point in time, so it was two English managers, and Trevor Francis scoring his first goal in European competition, first goal since signing from Birmingham City, the first time he played in European competition. It was his European debut, and when he scored the winner, the only goal of the game in the European Cup final. Trevor Francis, who would end up at Rangers, as did Robert Pritz, who was playing for Nottingham Forest that night, and that began the Olympics. The first time the Olympic Stadium in Munich had hosted the European Cup final. It hosted it two other times, but that time it was the Champions League final, '93, the first ever Champions League final. Basil Bowley scores the only goal of the game. Marseille basically had beaten us or overcome us through two draws. Nobody beat us in that season's European Cup. That they pipped us in the semi-final, if you like, even though there was no actual semi-final to get to that final. But it was Basil Bowley who would later sign that. And then in 1997, it was Juventus against, and with the goalkeeper Stefan Klos for Dortmund. Dortmund beat Juventus that night, and with the big centre half fella whose name escapes me right now, and that's absolutely terrible. You're shouting at the screen, big Italian centre half who came to Rangers later. Anyway, they played in that game, so there's a big connection with Rangers and European Cup finals that are played in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. But the connection when Malmo got to the final in '79 was they were playing Forest, who had beaten Cologne in the semi-final. That's the pennant behind me there, from Rangers losing out to Cologne in the quarterfinals. And I remember reading it in the Encyclopedia of World Football or something like that, when it did this these little kind of summaries of each season's European Cup, that Rangers had effectively acted as a sweeper for Nottingham Forest. Not a sweeper as in Franz Beckenbauer, but a sweeper as in street sweeper thing. We were just getting rid of all the big teams We beat Juventus, beat PSV Eindhoven, made it so much easier for Forest. You know, we kind of tired Cologne out just enough for Forest to get past them. But it was up for grabs that season as well, the old European Cup. But for Rangers, but we couldn't quite go there. Remember, we'd won the Cup Cup just, what was that, 7 years before. A lot of the players still playing, big experience. But there's a big connection with European Cup. Robert Pritz also, a unique thing for Malmo is that Atletico Madrid did this as well. Atletico Madrid are the only club to have never won the European Cup or Champions League after having lost more than 2 finals. They've lost the final 3 times. Now, so have Bayern, so have Real Madrid, so have Milan, but they've all won it so many times. But sorry, I get a bit overloaded. There's so much I want to say when it comes to the European stat stuff and the FIBA stat stuff. But they played in the '79 Intercontinental Cup finals. It was known then, or the forerunner of the Club World Championship, the Club World Cup, as we call it now, because a really bad reputation. 60s into 70s, the South American sides were getting. It used to be we didn't have a Club World Cup as such. We had the Intercontinental Cup, which was the champions of Europe against the Libertadores Cup, the champions of South America, and that would be it. Just decided that's it. Whoever won that was basically the champions of the world. It was before the kind of globalisation had taken a hold of it, and all the best South American players were over in Europe. The South American clubs were. If they weren't going to win it, then it was going to be the European side. They were the 2 best continents in football at that point in time. But the South America, it meant a lot more to them, and they get really violent, a lot of real dodgy stuff going on. That's where Lionel Messi got his phrase anti-football. It was from the exploits of Estudiantes de La Plata. Sorry, I'm talking too much, in the 60s. And then, anyway, long story short, European sides stopped playing it. It was just getting too much. Ajax chucked it a few times. And who I think Liverpool didn't bother playing in '78. Atletico Madrid, it was Bayern Munich. Bayern were supposed to have won the final in '74, but they just let the runners-up in the European Cup final take over, and that was Atletico de Madrid, who won. They won the club. So they've been champions of the world, Atletico Madrid. And they've lost the European Cup final 3 times, twice. Once in extra time, once in penalties to their city rivals. And the time that they lost after a replay to Bayern Munich in 1974 final, the only final that was ever replayed, and they were winning that game into the 120th minute. Went to extra time. You can see they're going 120. Atletico Madrid's history in the European Cup Champions League is absolutely devastating. It's the stuff that's happened to them. They've done everything. They've even been champions of the world, but still can't actually win the European Cup or Champions League. The point I'm trying to make is 1979, Olympia of Asuncion in Paraguay. Forest didn't want to play them. So Malmo, who Forest had beaten in that year's European Cup final, stepped in, and Olympia beat them home and away, but Robert Pritz had played. That's a guy who played for Pollock eventually. Remember Robert Pritz? He nutmegged Maradona when he was playing for Atalanta. He played against Napoli, and he nutmegged Maradona with the sky blue jerseys, Napoli, but he ends up playing for Pollock. Played for the Teddy Bears. Absolutely brilliant, Robert Pritz. But he's played in the European Cup final, and he's played in the Club World Cup final. What an absolute player. And it's great, I think, for Rangers to be getting back here, because we need to get a result. We need to get a result. Although we have actually had a result in Malmo. We've played them twice before in Europe, both times in the third playoff round of the Champions League, 10 years apart, both times us going out, losing both times the Ibrox leg. And I said, in an effort to try and get folk on board with Rangers playing at Hampden. Of course, I was saying that us playing Dynamo Kiev at Hampden was actually really interesting. That was really quite an interesting thing for us to be playing Dynamo Kiev at Hampden, because Rangers had never before, in 70 years of European football, Celtic had played at Hampden, Queen of the South had played at the Shibre Excelsior, Motherwell had played at the Shibre Excelsior, and everybody's basically played at Airdrie in Europe except us. But Rangers, 70 years of European football, and here for the first time we were hosting a game, we're hosting a home leg anywhere other than Ibrox. Malmo. We did it in the 1961-62 European Cup, and it was in Malmo. We played Vorwärts. I don't know how to pronounce it. They're now called, they moved to Frankfurt. The East German teams, especially the era of the DDR, they moved all over the joint. They just treated them like proper franchises, oh, you're really popular, right, we'll move you to this city that needs a popular football team to get on board with the communism. But I think they're now in Frankfurt on Oder, as opposed to Frankfurt am Main. But they were then known as Vorwärts. It's Forward Berlin, they were called. They were the champions of East Germany, and Rangers got them in the first round proper, or the second actual round we played in the 61-62 European Cup, and that great Rangers team in the early 60s, and we beat them in the, is it Friedrich Ludwig Jahn Sports Park. I've been there. No, I've been on holiday in Berlin 3 times actually. I've been in there. There wasn't a game on, but I was walking around it and all that. You just walk straight in. Amazing. So Dynamo Berlin used to play there. But we beat them 2-1 there. I can't remember who scored the goals. Don't know. We beat them 2-1 in the first leg. But that time we played in 1961, the Berlin Wall was just going up. Ian Duff, who's on Jersey a lot, he's written a great book on this, on Rangers in Europe, and he mentions this. I remember reading it. Who's the other fella's name? I can't. It's a history of Rangers anyway. It's Stephen. Oh, sorry, I can't remember the fella's name. But he the first time I read about this anyway as a kid was how Rangers had won 2-1 in Berlin in the first leg, but because the Berlin Wall was going up and us NATO nations were pretty anti, basically the East Germans are just putting a big wall down right in front of where the BBC have their studio during the World Cup or the Euros. It's really inconsiderate. I don't know if it's a planning thing or something like that, but there was a big dispute about it anyway, and it was we were doing the ban, we were doing they're not coming to Western Europe, basically. They're not coming to the NATO nations. We're not having, your East German teams coming over there while their government is building this wall in Berlin. So we had to play at Malmo. We ended up playing to find a neutral venue, so to speak. They weren't going to come to Glasgow, so we went to Sweden, and we played them at Malmo. In the game, the first time we tried to play the game at night, I think there was a half decent crowd there, mostly locals. And we were winning 1-0 with a goal from Willie Henderson, who was only about 17 at the time. I think it was him just breaking into the Rangers first team. And it get half time, it get just postponed, cancelled. That's it. It was the fog, totally consumed by fog. Quite Scandinavian. So replayed it was at 10 o'clock the next morning. So there's less than 2,000 people there watching it, and we beat them 4-1. And wee Willie Henderson, he gets 1. The wee Prime Minister, Ian McMillan, he got 2. I think Eric Caldo scored an own goal, and there was a fella, was it Kleiner? No, Kleiner means small, sorry. Kalinka got, that's me getting obsessed with this. Everybody had to be small in that game, so it must mean Kleiner Kalinka. Eine Kleiner Kalinka, he scored an own goal as well. He scored one of our goals, so we beat them 4-1. So we have actually won in Malmo. Let's take some sort of encouragement for that when we go into this game tomorrow night. And yeah, Malmo said they lost the European Cup final wearing a sky blue home top. Napoli 1989 won the UEFA Cup in a sky blue home top, but then Lazio lost the 1998 UEFA Cup final in a sky blue home top, and Lazio then won the 99 Cup final, was it that one? But they were in their away kit, and I started thinking, yeah, it must be the sky blue tops. No, it's jinxed. It's totally jinxed. Other than Napoli, it must be because Maradona's so great. But then I started thinking that with Malmo in '79. I remember watching that final. But Manchester City, only spent about $1 trillion of blood money to win it in 2023. So they eventually broke that duck for Malmo. Malmo have played in one European final, and they haven't won a European trophy. We've played in 5 and we have, but somehow I just feel as if their European history is pretty much the same as ours. My name's Alec Anderson. Young bones growing in the rocks below say, throw your skinny body down, son, but I'm going to meet the one I love, so please don't stand in my way. Malmo, of course, really famous for that bridge. The bridge for I remember the first episode of the bridge. What's her name? Saga. Saga is she's the Malmo. She's the chief of police or something like that. Not a top detective in Malmo. I can't remember the name of the big fella for Copenhagen. They've got to team up with each other. But I think the first one was a body sliced, dismembered right across the midriff, and the top half was in Copenhagen and the second half was in Malmo. But it was still pretty much joined together because it was right in the middle of the bridge, the halfway line when you step over from Sweden into into Denmark. I thought that was quite good. It's also the place where, as I say, Henning Mankell sends Wallander there all the time to talk to the biker gangs. It's birthplace of the Zlatan, 122 international appearances for Sweden and 62 goals. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Just make it so it's like 124. You're just over a goal every second game. What amazing. Ken Dalglish and Dennis Law, that's your top goal scorers ever. Add both their tallies together, you still get 60 goals. If it's Zlatan scored more, it's amazing how few goals Scotland's top goal scorers can score. Also, most famously, the birthplace of the Hollander, the big Phil Hollander. There can be only one Phil Hollander. I'll bloody well limp it here. And it's also the city, famously, where Argentina played West Germany in the World Cup group stages in a yellow top. Argentina, the 1958 World Cup. The stadium we're playing in tomorrow night is the Malmo Stadium. And no, it's a stadium, Stadion, Malmo. They moved there in 2009. Whereas before that, 1958, built for the 1958 World Cup, it was the Malmo Stadion. Stadion, Malmo. I mean, it's sponsored by Elida now, the new one that we're in. There's 22,500 all-seater job title on the park. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere, intimidating atmosphere for the players tonight. But before 1958, Malmo played in pretty much like a bowling club. It's like tiny wee stadium, absolutely lovely looking, really tight, obviously, but very, very small. Then they moved in 1958 because the World Cup came to Sweden and they built this beautiful stadium. It's a kind of miniature version, and same style roughly, the kind of bending roofs as the Ullevi in Gothenburg, slightly bigger. I think that's still being used much more. It's still there. It's right next to. The two stadiums are right next to each other in Malmo. If you're going to the game, you can't miss it. But the Malmo Stadion. So Argentina are playing West Germany, 1958 World Cup. And can you see the book behind me? It's Angels with Dirty Faces. It's Jonathan Wilson book about Argentinian football. I hadn't realised this. It's a black and white photograph. It doesn't help, but it's, because it was a colour clash. Because Argentina had the white, they didn't have an away kit with them, and the white and light blue, Bianco Celeste. It was decided that clashed too much with Germany's white kit, so Argentina had to pick a kit from the stadium. And there's two. Malmo playing there. And it's IFK Malmo, the other team, the other main team from Malmo, and they play in yellow, which is the same colour as Sweden. I don't know if Argentina had the choice of the two kits, the two resident teams, and they say, right, we'll take, remember they were doing the wee thing, Brazil famously could win the park, the Rasunda Stadium in Solna, Stockholm, AIK, they've got a bit of yellow in their kit as well. And Sweden, obviously famously, yellow jerseys, and Brazil had to play in the blue jerseys in that final. Pele scores the 2 goals, 17-year-old, they beat them 5-2 in the final. But they paraded the Sweden flag around the park at the end. Oh, what a touch of sportsmanship. Maybe Argentina got there first. And they said, no, we're going to wear yellow in tribute to our hosts, but I think it's more likely to be the Malmo kit would look exactly like a Uruguay top, Celeste, we're Bianco Celeste in Uruguay, who'd beaten them in the 1930 World Cup final, and they played the Olympic finals. Now, that's 1958 World Cup, 1978 World Cup's in Argentina, 20 years later, 20 years after that, 1998, France win their first World Cup in France, back in France. 38, France had hosted the World Cup as well, but in 1978, France are in Argentina, and they have to wear the kits of Kimberley FC. Oh, where's this? Is it Mar del Plata? I can't remember where it actually was, where they were playing. But they were playing Hungary in their group game, France. Platini's playing that, I think, 1978. And there's a clash. They didn't have a proper away kit with them. France, Hungary is too much of a clash. I know Hungary playing red and France playing blue, but it must have been something going on there. But France end up playing green and white stripes of the local team, the Kimberley FC. So that was, just too bad it wasn't Sweden, who did play in the 78 World Cup, and they played against Brazil. And Brazil, again, Sweden wore the blue this time, and Brazil wore the gold, and Clive Thomas chucked the goal off that had been scored as far as he was concerned after the final whistle, but the corner had been taken before it blew. It was just attention seeking from a referee. But it was quite a coincidence that the two teams, there's a link there with the two clubs, the two countries that had to play in World Cup finals wearing a local club side's kit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can think about. 5 European finals, one. Last time we played Malmo, when they beat us in 2021, 2022, it's just pretty much heartbreaking. Possibly affected Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa. I don't think so. The amount of money on offer in the English Premier League and just getting him closer to Liverpool as it would be deemed at the time. But we think losing that game, losing that tie, and failing to go into the Champions League proper with the money they're in, it was pretty major at the time, pretty heartbreaking, pretty gutting. But the referee, the first leg, which we lost 2-1, of course, we're 2-0 down. It was still COVID. This is July 2020. It was a reduced crowd at the Malmo Stadium, still quite a good atmosphere, and they were 2-0 up on us, but Steve Davis scored right, was it 95 minutes or something, right at the death, and we thought, that's great, even though away goals, the first season of away goals not counting, in double in the case of a draw, it was still nevertheless a vital goal. And as you well remember, Alfredo opens the scoring after about 20 minutes in the first leg. That's it, all square, and then they get a man sent off. Absolutely, here we go. We're into it. Was still going to be the playoff round. We had to negotiate, but Ludogorets are Asgrad, who Malmo duly dispense with. But Cholak, so they're down to 10 men. But it's all square, and somehow in the space of the 2 goals in the space of about 8 minutes from one Cholak, who we didn't actually sign from Malmo. Yeah, Antonio Cholak, he was on loan at Malmo, I think, from Pollock. I might not be right with that. Just don't quote me, but there you go. The first leg was refereed by Simon Marciniak, who would go on to referee the following year. He would referee the World Cup final. And the home leg, the game at Ibrox, was refereed by Slavko Vincic, who would go on to referee the following year's Europa League final. It was in Seville. I don't know if you remember it, but it was the exact same round as in 2011, 2012, 10 years earlier. 11 years. 2011, 2012, 9 years earlier it was, sorry, when we lost 1-0 at Ibrox. Super Ali, we'd won the league under Walter. 2011, Walter retires, Super Ali takes over, and his first European tie, home to Malmo, in that third qualifying round, and we get beat 1-0, and a goal by Henrik Larsson. A guy was called Henrik Larsson. I was really chuffed to be drawn Malmo, because I'd never seen them before, and I wanted to get them off my list of European finalists, and that blew up in my face as usual. And the away leg, we're doing quite well. We went down to 10 men. Whittaker gets sent off. Stephen Whittaker gets sent off. We went down to 10 men, but then I think we scored, didn't we? We scored first, was Jelavic, and then we went down to 9 men. Bugera gets sent off. They equalised on the night late on, but they get a man sent off as well, so it was 9 versus 10, I think, by the end. But the draw was no good to us. A brave showing, but the draw not good to us. And it's Henrik Larsson, a guy called Henrik Larsson, who wasn't the Henrik Larsson. It was but he scored in the first game at Ibrox, and yet Whittaker and Bugera, in that order again, had been sent off. Was it March, February, in that game against Celtic at Parkhead, and they put us out the Scottish Cup in the replay? That was when Ali and Neil Lennon were handbags. So there must have been that wee thing that Bugera wanted to keep Whittaker company anytime he gets sent up. There's a wee link there. Malmo, the reigning Swedish champions just now, but as per usual, they've won like 26 Allsvenskans, or the Swedish title. They won it 26 times. Gothenburg and I think IFK Norrköping have both won it 13 times each. They're the nearest challengers, so they're way out ahead as the most successful team in the country domestically. Gothenburg, of course, have won. The only other Swedish team to get to a European final, and they won 2 UEFA Cup finals. This is our 4th tie against Swedish opposites. That's quite weird. I'm pretty sure this is only the 4th time that we've played a Swedish side in European competition, and 2 of the previous 3 times was against Malmo, and the other time was 97-98 when Gothenburg put us out the Champions League qualifiers, and pretty much that was Walter. We dropped into the Europa League, so UEFA Cup as it was then, and out we went to Strasbourg and beat home and away. And I think that was a moment Walter just decided, nah, I'm done here. We'll try and get 10 in a row, but he was absolutely exhausted. No wonder. But that was the only other time. We've not got a good record against Swedish sides at all, but they're the reigning champions just now, and they won it by like a couple of goals, I think, goals different from Elfsborg last season, or last year, because it's a summer season they've got in Sweden. They're currently, I think, about 8 points clear of Djurgårdens, with 8 or 9 points clear of Djurgårdens, with about 6 games to go. So they've almost certainly tied up 2 in a row there. The Djurgårdens are the second team to host the European Cup, / Champions League football in mainland UK. Or probably the British Isles, I need to check. Glentoran and the Linfield were then in the 1955-56, the very first European Cup. But the first one was Hibs, and the second one was Djurgårdens, because they played Hibs in the next round. Rotvice Essen, the Hibs beat in the first round. In the second round, they drew Djurgardens of Sweden, and the weather was so bad in Sweden that they played the home leg at Easter Road. Hibs did, and the away leg was like, Djurgardens like, we'll just play at Firhill. We'll take you out of Edinburgh, we'll play you at Firhill. So that's Firhill. And Djurgardens, Chick Charnley, famously played for both Hibs and Partick Thistle, also played for Djurgardens. So that's one to take if MD you're talking to is having trouble sleeping, just battering with that one as well. But they won 4-0 against BK Häcken on Sunday, taking you back to the present day, did Malmo. The thing, they're going well, they've got the league tied up. I'm just wondering how this is going to affect the two teams, and how it's going to affect, I would much rather have got this whole summer season for them, winter season for us. So they've got, 6 games I think left in their domestic season. They've already won the Swedish Cup as well. But we've got, we're kind of getting into it. September, September, you know how many games we've played already, but we're still obviously evolving. Not just the fact that we've made so many signings, there's been such a huge turnover in players this summer, but just generally this stage of the season, you're not quite fully there yet. So I don't know if it's going to be, are we getting in there fresh, but we've got enough in the legs? It's better than the previous 2 times we've played them and they've beaten us. It's been in July. It's been in that third playoff round of the Champions League. So now we're pretty much almost into October. We've got much more in our legs just now, and I'm wondering if it's like, is our freshness going to overcome their kind of, they're coming to the end of the season, or is it going to be like, in Platoon, or are they going to be Tom Berenger, kind of hardened, cynical, they've been through it all kind of thing, or are we going to be like naive, bright-faced Charlie Sheen? But you know what happens. You know what happens at the end of Platoon. So it's quite interesting to see how that will work. I'm glad it's not July we're playing them. It's good to get them a bit deeper in the season. But I think they must be getting to the point where they're starting to feel the tiredness there, as opposed to, I'm not going to tempt fate. Anyway, Sweden they've got a good record against us, obviously, Malmo. Sweden are 24th, I think, in the UEFA coefficient table, while Scotland's 17th. This is our 4th trip to Malmo. With the only one we've won out of the previous 3, we did it after a replay against East Germans in the fog. So it's really not the greatest record. The manager's this guy, Henrik Rydström, and I think he wants to be chillaxed, a chilled out entertainer. He was coming across the guy was talking in a second language. That's the thing we have to remember when we're taking the mickey out the Malmo presser today. They're doing it on English. Do you see Rangers doing their press conference in Swedish if we were playing them at Ibrox? No, it's never going to happen. So that I think we need to remember that. But he was quite happy. He was throwing about the F-bomb quite a few times as well, and he's in an effort to sound chilled out. Again, maybe that's a kind of interpretation thing, a language he doesn't realise. Maybe he thinks the fucking, I think is the word I'm talking about here. I'm talking to children, sorry folks, as if you've never heard me swearing before. Maybe he thinks that's the equivalent of damn or bloody or something like that, but he was chucking that about today. He played for like 20 years at a club called Kalmar, who I think they won the league once. But they certainly won it in his time, and they won the cup. They won everything when he was there as a player. He was their coach as well, but he arrived, I think, at the end of the 2022 season/year. They weren't doing too well, so he came in. He was talking about that today. He came in November 2022. I'm assuming that's when he's taken over. Then he's subsequently, as I say, won the league and the cup with them, with Malmo. And his style, I don't want to step on the toes of Rangers Review, not that I really could anyway, but even if I tried to, Joshua Barry's been writing articles about all this, and he was talking about it. He was asking him about it today. The manager is in conjunction with a Scottish fellow. Is it Jamie Hamilton? As I say, check out Rangers Review. They've got good articles on this. It's on their Twitter page, access to those articles. But it's relationism. Their kind of tactics, the way they play, they term it relationism, this tactical blueprint they've got, although it's one of those blueprints that rips up the blueprint and apparently it's really unpredictable. You can't tag them down. They're not, they're very disciplined, he says, but not positionally. So we're a positionally disciplined team, so it's like that kind of, wing backs are so last week, centre halves are so last year. It's relationism, it's called. It sounds a bit like creationism for my or maybe relativity, although that's Copenhagen is a physicist, Neil Bohr. It's just across the water, that's across the bridge, the other side of the bridge. Pushing it too much there, Alec. Anders Christensen, he's their captain. I think him and Tav. I think maybe a few Malmo players surviving for the last clash, but Tav's the only Rangers player surviving for the last clash between the clubs. So obviously both the captains. So Christensen is a Danish midfield international. He's been captain. He's been captain of Malmo for a few years now, and the manager was talking about how they liked. At first, they wanted everything to go through him. It was about getting the ball to him, and then seeing what he could do it. Basically, but I think that the basic idea is that they all clump around the ball. If one of their players has got the ball, he's got 4 or 5 options because they play really close together. They move as a unit, kind of thing. But it'll be interesting to see that they basically believe in this style. It's certainly worked for them in Sweden, which is a very decent league. They've got Isaac Tellin, or Isaac Tellin, you have to excuse me if I got that wrong. He's a striker. He's got about 5 goals for Sweden as well. Decent striker. He was at Vassland Beveren when Philip Clement started out in his management career, and he scored something that got a really good season for them as well. He's on loan at that point in time. Can't remember who from, but he's a vastly experienced striker. Pontus Jansson, you remember him? He was at Brentford and Leeds United and Torino as well. Swedish international centre half. So he's really experienced. But all these guys, the kind of main names that were jumping out at me when I was looking through their team today are all guys in their 30s. So maybe wee Conor Barron running about, and I love Diamandi, the energy and all that. So maybe there's something we can do here. It's going to be a difficult game. They dropped into the bit like ourselves. We dropped straight in through the league path from the third qualifying round. Malmo winning the Swedish league doesn't get it's quite, they went in at the second qualifying round and they won. I think it was just 6-4 in aggregate against Key, Faroe Islands club, KI. I don't know how it's pronounced, but they beat them 4-1 at home, but then they lost 3-2 away. So it wasn't exactly a roasting they gave them. And then the next round, the second qualifying round, the third qualifying round did a cracking result. They were brilliant, where they beat Pollock Salonika after extra time in the second leg, which was in the Tomba in Greece, in Salonika. So that was in Thessalonica. That was a major result for them there. And then I did see highlights of the second leg of their playoff round where they played Sparta Prague, and they lost 2-0 in each leg, and they lost 2-0 in Prague in the second leg. But it wasn't as straightforward as that. I think Sparta Prague missed a penalty to put the tie to bed, kind of first half, and then Malmo had a penalty into the second half, and that's basically they missed that as well. The Sparta keeper saved it or whatever, but that turned it. It was a moment they were going to bring it back to 2-1 and basically have the kind of the pressure, the momentum on the night. So the manager today was talking about how he felt as if they let themselves down in that game. Didn't really show their best in that game. So they'll have a point to prove. They'll think they should be in the Champions League group stages, which they were. Of course, they got there in 2021, 22 when they were telling us today on social media, we went on to the Europa League final, so they kind of did us a favour, really, by knocking us out then under Steven Gerrard. But they beat Ludogorets in the playoff round, and then they went into a Champions League group stage. I think Juventus were in it, Chelsea as well, perhaps. Zenit St. Petersburg, I think, and they get 1 point. Now, we went on better than that, so to speak, the following season when we were in the Champions League group stage and get 0 points in the old format. But in the following season, 2022-2023, Malmo were in the Europa League group stages and get 0 points. So their history in Europe recently is a bit up and down. It's mostly up against us and down against everybody else. So it's not a straightforward case of they've got the kind of Indian sign on and that's it. But this new format, the last 4 Europa League campaigns, we finished second in the group twice, and we've been top of the group twice. So this time, I think we'll be cracking open the bubbly if we finish 8th. It doesn't really make any sense, does it? If we finished 8th, we're celebrating like mad. But there's only one group. There is only one group, and there's 36 teams in it. It's really quite mental. I did a wee bit about it when the draw was made. I can't remember what team were playing the Saturday at the weekend, but I did a whole kind of, if you look through my videos, the one that actually lasts about an hour and 20 minutes, that's the one where I was discussing the whole European thing. I think it's been altered for the television floating voters. As always, they get priority. Guys like you and me who love their football and are just going to be there no matter what. We don't have to, UEFA, even like the advertising companies, I think even the editorial staff who decide the tenor and tone. Like Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton fighting with each other, for example, on Sky. It's mind numbing. It's sickening. I can't stand. There's no attempt at proper analysis. It's hysteria, right? But people who are kind of, I've always found this really hard to understand, but I've met plenty of people like it who want to be upset because they're not actually. I'm deeply emotionally involved anyway. I'm all in, as they like to say. I am actually all in. You don't need to try and sell this to me. You don't need to wind me up. I'm getting wound up anyway if my team gets beat. But there's people out there who need something that's going to kind of, oh, they two guys are fighting. No, he's laughing really loud. I'll watch this. This pulls me in. And I think this whole reorganisation of the 3 club competitions, as well as just being an insidious attempt to actually create leagues, where we now have basically 3 divisions of a Super League. It's right in front of our eyes. It might be getting to the point where they go, well, let's just play everybody home and away as well, and basically ended up having a 36-team league, or 18-team leagues that play 36 games a season. They're trying to just move to a UEFA league by increments across the years. Well, different alterations have been making to the existing European competitions, but I feel after just this one, it's just, as I say, as always, it's try and get the kind of floating voters and the folk who are thinking, oh, am I going to watch this, or I don't know, a recording of The Voice or something like that? Am I going to stick something on Netflix? Am I going to, for you and me, there's no choice. Even if Rangers only playing, even if it's European competitions on television, I'm going to watch that. Because I've been into it since I was a kid. But people who need to be kind of, enticed. It's no the old home and away thing, just the same old tired. You get 3 teams in the group, and that's it. There's 36 teams in the group. Oh my God, how's that work? Well, you play 4 of them away from home, 4 of them at home. For me, it's absolutely sickening. You look at what happened, for example, VfB Stuttgart last week. They lost 3-1 eventually in the Bernabeu to Real Madrid. It was a cracking game. They put up a great fight. It's what everybody does at Real Madrid. They go and Real Madrid let you think they're going to win, and then they take it away for you in injury time. But every instinct in my body was going, really looking forward to the return leg. Really looking forward to the return leg. Even the group stage has got me used to the fact that you might not play the return leg next. You might have to play somebody else. But there will be a return leg. No, there isn't. It'd be Real Madrid going back to the stadium at which they won the European Cup in 1959. There's that kind of, but no, it's not happening at all. And VfB don't get a shot at them in their home patch. But maybe some people think this is more interesting. It's all right. We're playing them away from home. We have to play them at home. For me, not so much. But the manager mentioned it in his presser as well. You've now got 8 teams to study rather than 3. It's going right the way through to the end of January as well, as opposed to you finding out known before Christmas. If you're still in Europe after Christmas, that phrase no longer applies. So you don't see the weird thing is you don't see them playing each other as well. That's another thing. You don't get to see like we're playing. Both us and Malmo will play Olympiacos. We're both playing. They're playing them at home. We're playing them in Piraeus. But that's it. They're playing 7 different other teams. No, 7 other different teams. I don't just mean we're both playing 8 different teams in our schedule. But they're playing 7 of the teams they're playing are different from the. No, 6 of the teams they're playing are different from the 6 we're playing. It's basically they've got. They get their way to Karabag. They get Besiktas and Galatasaray. They're playing one at home and one away from home. Who else? 20 from the Netherlands. As I say, Olympiacos is the only one they're playing. It's the same as we've got in the rest of our schedule, and that's what people are starting to. I see the manager was doing it today as well. You can't really blame him. They're talking about their group's different from our group. It's the same group. It is the same group. We're going to start saying schedule instead of group. There's only one group. There's 36 teams in it. You're only getting to play 8 of them. But it's going to quickly become the new SPL. Remember, it took folk years to stop saying SPL when they meant the top flight in Scotland. It meant the SPFL or the SPFL Premiership after we got rid of the SFL. I don't know why folk were confused, but that was the SPL. It was getting overused for years. Now I think it's going to be talking about the teams in their group as opposed to teams in Malmo's group, when it actually means it's the schedule. Basically, is probably the best way to describe it. 9 and 10 points has been banded about as a kind of progress projections for how many points you're going to need to progress. Basically, if you finish in the top 8, you will go straight through to the round of 16. If you finish from 9th to 24th, you go into the last 32 playoff. You want to basically play off to find out if you're going to get through to the last 16. And if you finish 25th to 36, 25 to 36, you're out. That's it. You're out. So I think we should. Four of the teams that we've got to play, two of them are from the Premier League, English Premier League, and two of them are from Ligue 1 of France. I think we're already looking at just making sure, the idea that we're going to finish 8th when there's 4 teams that we've got in the schedule who should be beating us straight away. I think it's a bit far-fetched, so we're looking at what's required to get through. There'll be seeding involved as well, I would imagine, depending on how far up that 9 to 24 slot that you finish. But long and short of it is, I think we need to get 3 points. We definitely can't afford to get beat tomorrow. This is one of 4 games that we can be winning, and or we certainly should be trying like hell to win. I mentioned that Olympiacos away. I don't know. It's really, really difficult, and I can't see how we're going to progress if we can't take a point from this. Malmo are doable. They're very doable, but we are probably the most doable. Malmo are favourites for this game, but it's going to be a difficult one. Our team selection, I'm thinking no Hefty, because he's suspended, that ridiculous sending off against Dynamo Kiev. No Yilmaz, he's injured, so straight away we've got problems at left back. I think I would go for, rather than Robbie Fraser, I'm going to go for Sterling. He's a unit. He's fairly athletic. I've seen him playing wide before, and he knows how to carry the ball forward. Big Dujon. Also, I know he didn't have the best of halves on Saturday there against Dundee, that first half, but he's stuck in midfield. I think he might be more comfortable as a fullback. And he's just got a bit about him, a bit of character, a bit of fight, a bit of dig. So there's going to be I think it's going to be quite an atmosphere tomorrow night. It's a very tight stadium, fully roofed, 22,500, but it's even closer to the park, I would imagine, than Ibrox. I don't imagine I've seen it. It is. I didn't go when I went to Malmo. That day I went to Malmo, I didn't go. I thought, there's a stadium, because the stadion, the 1958 stadium that's still there, I think IFK still play there, IFK Malmo. It's in an episode of Valander as well. They run about, I can't remember if it's a Kenneth Branagh one or the actual Swedish one, or there's a couple of Swedish versions, but they've all been on the BBC. But I watched one and I thought, that's the flipping stadium. That's Malmo's stadium. But I thought, there's 2 stadiums to see, and it was in a close season. I'm not going to bother trying to. It's just a day trip. We don't have time for that. But they're right next to each other, so they've done it in a manner. But it's a brilliant place, man. Absolutely, it's one of the most cleanest, tidiest, quietest, prettiest cities I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely gorgeous. Really quite surreal. It was so quiet. All the shops seemed to be open, but there was nobody in them. Maybe they knew I was coming. But there's the famous kind of statuette of a gun with the barrel twisted and tied in a knot. That's 52 minutes already. My God, sorry. The game's going to have started by the time you get through this. I think we should just Hefty is out, so I'm going to go for Dujon Sterling at left back. And is that it? That's the only change. That then leads to you thinking, are we going to keep? It looks like Bajrami is then going to stay out wide left tomorrow night. But Oscar Cortes has been injured. That was all that kind of headline news for the manager today. On the injury front, but it was in Copenhagen. There's a bar called Oscars. It was like a square on the corner, a wee square behind the town hall, the city hall, what we call it. It's in Bergen. Remember Bergen, Borgen, that kind of drama that was on BBC 4. That was absolutely brilliant. But I thought it was quite, the thing about, I went into Oscars and there's a guy behind the counter, a guy behind the bar, and because everybody in Denmark, everybody in Sweden as well, but everybody in Copenhagen was talking away in English, no problem, absolutely no problem. They talk to each other as well, and English is the kind of thing they do. And he says to get the drinks in, and there was just something. My wife and I were sitting outside. In fact, I went to see Copenhagen. I went to see Copenhagen playing Lyngby. Rangers have played, twice in Malmo and twice in Copenhagen. We played twice at the Parken Stadion, and we won both times there. We went through anyway. We beat Copenhagen to qualify for the Champions League group stages, and Arveladze scoring that cracking goal. Was it Nacho? No, he's got a kind of. But also we beat Lyngby there in the 92-93. Lyngby played the game when I went to see. They hosted the Parken Stadion. again before we beat Leeds in the Battle of Britain to get in the first ever Champions League. But when I went to see Copenhagen, it was the first game of the season. It was the day before my birthday in July when we were in Copenhagen, so I could insist on a wee present for me. They were playing Lyngby, so it's quite. God, that was so boring. But we went to Oscar. He's injured. He's out for a few weeks. So we're starting to wonder about him. We're starting to wonder he's a bit frail. But I went into the bar at Oscar's wife and I. After I think it was actually when we come back. It was the day we come back from Malmo. It was the day we come back from Malmo because it's when I walked back from the station, having a few drinks late in the evening, sitting out, and I was just going to take. You want to take the drinks outside? I'll bring them out to you. And I just remember saying to my wife, just about you're talking to each other, and it's like, "King, is that a gay bar?" She says, "I don't know. The guy was just being polite." And I said, "No, I'm not just I don't know. The guy seemed." Or did she say to me, "I think this is a gay bar?" And I went, "Well, the guy seemed." Obviously, you don't. So that's a terrible thing to say. You can't tell, but I don't know what I'm expecting the guy to be. But the reason I'm saying that, was because when the guy came out, from behind the bar, he was wearing denim bicycle shorts, the tightest I have ever seen in my life. Everything was out there, and he'd quite the sashay on him. It was fucking brilliant. The guy, absolutely tremendous. He comes out and he gives it right. And the thing I remember was a fella sitting at another table, and he says to my wife, look, it was getting quite chilly. It was July and that, but he's like, "Would you like a cover? Like a blanket, to keep you warm?" So, "Oh, thanks very much." And this fella, he pipes up, "What about me? Can't I get a blanket?" In English, and he's like, "You've already got a blanket." He says, "But I need another one. I'm really cold." He's like, "You just can't stand to see somebody else getting attention. You're like the princess and the pea." And I thought this was just like the guy's quoting like Hans Christian Andersen or Danish fairy tales or whatever. And it was, and now we've got Oscar Cortes. This is Oscar's bar. It's still there. If you're over there, you'll be in Copenhagen. If you're a bear over there, go and check it out. Go to Oscar's, absolutely great place. Sensational beer, and the most fragile kind of person in the world. Is Oscar Cortes going to be the most fragile football player of all time? I think he might well be. The manager, I thought he was fantastic at today's press conference, from keeping an eye on Conor Barron when Joshua Barry from the Rangers Review was asking him how he likes playing at 6, and he's obviously trying to don't give away what you're going to play tomorrow night. And I watch what you're saying, Conor, to flagging up praise for bringing more attention to the fact that somebody mentioned John Gilligan says you're going to get funding in January. Good, glad to hear it. Fantastic. Just making sure you can hold them to account, hold them to that promise. And then right at the end of his presser, when somebody asked him about the Anderlecht, "I don't know if you want to talk about this." He's like, "No, I want to talk about it. Bring it on. I'm going nowhere. I'm here. I love this club. I love this city. I said I was here for the project, etc." I'm paraphrasing, but I had the chest puffing out there. If he's selling as a dummy, if he's going to Anderlecht tomorrow, then I'll be absolutely heartbroken. But he was very convincing, the manager, and it kind of segued from what John Gilligan had been saying during the week. I thought John Gilligan was fantastic. I thought he would come across absolutely brilliantly in his press conference. An interview as well with Rangers TV, which was very good. Obviously, it was a lot easier to be good with an in-house interview. But I thought the press conference, it was phenomenal. Just totally down to earth. Totally, I'm not patronising that because he's got a super working class accent. I just mean he was calm and believable. And I hate the phrase common sense because everybody's common sense. There's no such thing as common sense. But it was a perfect antidote to the Dave King hysteria. Dave King stuff, it reminds me of when Walter Smith was at Everton, and Everton fans were saying, "Oh, he's no bubbly enough. He's a bit dour." No, they wanted a character as opposed to somebody who has character. They weren't interested in substance. They were only interested in, promises the world and tell us we're brilliant. Give us memorable quotes. And I think that's Dave King appeals to that kind of constituency who I have no time for because they're just going to bring us to our knees. And I thought it was really good to hear John Gilligan just saying, "No, we're on a solid footing," and that is the most important thing. If there's investment out there or whatever, and Dave King can be doing the work, he can behave like a proper shareholder, somebody who, if he loves the club basically as much as he's making out, he does. Well, he can be doing the work on the inside, under the radar in the actual club. He's not doing that. No need for an AGM when we're going to have an AGM just in a couple of months' time. And as a shareholder, Dave King is perfectly welcome to make any points he wants to make at that AGM. But at the same time, he's basically saying, "I've got so much respect for Dave King for what he did for the club in the past, and I see him as a friend and what have you. And it was a perfect way to play it. He's just saying, Dave, don't talk at me, talk to me. Come on, mate. No, not worrying for you about this, but come on. And I thought it was tremendous. He came across really well, John Gilligan, just putting the kind of rationale back into the whole situation. We're not looking to change the board, we're looking to add to it, And I thought that was really good. It's been a good week on the press conference front, but we probably want to focus more on what we do in the park. That's the whole thing for me. Cortes is out tomorrow, so I don't think there's any chance of us seeing Bajrami getting back to 10, because what would Tom Lawrence do? I'm worried the way Hefty was piling forward in that at the weekend. Obviously, that really suited Bajrami's game as well, but I don't think we're going to get to see Bajrami at 10 probably until we get Cortes back, unless Ross McCausland's going to come in there and play in the left-hand side, but that would see Tom Lawrence getting left out, almost certainly. I'm expecting Chellan to be in the right-hand side and Dessers to be... Or just basically, the only changes from Saturday's team I'm expecting to see is whoever we're going to put in at left-back. I'll be quite happy with that, for us to start the game that way tomorrow night anyway. Sorry, tonight. Yeah, is that it? Is that it? A word for Tav and Dessers, really. I think they're the two most pilloried players we've had this season so far. And that was Dessers' 7th goal already this season. He's only scored one away from home, but it was in Europe. It was in Europe, and only a previous European away game this season. So there's a chance that's what he's in the mood for this season, Big Cyril. And Tav scores a penalty, but he also sets up Dessers' first goal. He puts the corner in to Cyril Dessers, and Dessers is in the position to take advantage of it. A great corner from Tav, and he gets fouled, and that's why we get the penalty that Tav eventually puts away. So they seem to be the most... There's almost a culture with some people, don't dare like them. Don't say you like them, because that's just... They're the losers, they're everything that's wrong with this club, blah, blah, blah. And it's a bit like, I don't know, like hating your mum and dad for putting food on the table and a roof over your head and, shoes on your feet and that kind of thing, but no buying you the Coca-Cola, packets of McCoys, the 4 packs of Mars bars and trebles every season. Sometimes, I think at a particular stage in Rangers history, people who are just turning up and hitting a level that gives you the basics all the time. That's, Dave King's the world only doing that, and then now we have Todd Cantwell's our manager. Has made an example of Cantwell in one of his poorer European results last season when we drew at home with Aris Limassol, but I think he actually almost sacrificed that game just to make the point, not to Cantwell, but to use him to make the point to the rest of the team: you will play in my system or you'll be out. His 2 results against Sparta Prague, the away performance in Prague in his first European game, absolutely fantastic. Betis in Seville, obviously one of the best results in our European history, a fantastic moment. The Europa League this season, though, I think generally it's a bit for me, it's a bit Wolves Viennetta. It's a bit Wolves Viennetta. I knock back corner in the town, when you go and get the... Remember, it used to be Boots the Chemist. Is it still KFC? Is it still KFC? It was the knock back corner for me, obviously. It was let them down gently corner as far as I was concerned. I was in a Drossen getting knocked back down there, so but I was KBC knocked back corner, it became KFC. I was in there before, I'm pretty sure it was maybe the Bayern Munich game, but Dick Advocaat's first season of the Champions League with Rangers, that was 99-2000. Those group, I get tickets, I get a package, the match pack. I was just starting to go back to Ibrox regularly after having been doing my O-level woodwork at night school, but I had got the 3-match package. It was myself and it was my wife and my sister I went with. I learnt my lesson. Lightweights, Bayern equalise right at the end, they're greeting and stuff like that. I'm like, they can't even remember the game now. It's like folk that don't remember are the ones that greet. You know what I mean? But folk like us that suck, that we know we're going to have to live with that. We don't have to greet. We're going to cry internally for the rest of our lives over games like that. But I remember one of us suggested going to KFC quickly in the town before we set out in the underground to Ibrox that night. And I love a KFC. And I think, I just fancy. I seem to always get or half the time I'm in McDonald's, I would get the McFlurry. But I very rarely got a dessert in KFC. I don't know what I love. Chicken is dessert for me as far as I'm concerned. But I remember thinking, no, I just want to quickly grab something, something kind of sweet before we head off to go with the rest of this Coke or Pepsi would be in KFC. And I'm like, okay. So I nipped up, and I remember seeing a thing up there, it's Walls Viennetta. We're talking 1999 here, the winter of 99, so 25 years ago basically, and I'm a quarter of a century back. But I've got it in my head that it was £1.78. The figure I have in my head is 178, and I'm thinking, God, I remember like, God, you get a full size Walls Viennetta for that, in the shops, but that's the price you pay. You pay over the odds, obviously, at these places, take out places. And I thought that'll be good. A wee slice of Walls Viennetta, be like a Walls Viennetta lolly or something like that. So that's fine. I'll have Walls Viennetta, please. £1.70, and the guy handed me a full size. It was a full size Walls Viennetta, and I sat down and I'm putting it down the table, and I'm like, if there's a lot of folk, that I know, if there's too much in their plate when it's served up, it puts them off. It makes them feel full before they've started eating it. I'm usually the other way, but if there's not enough in my plate, I'm like, what's the point of that? I want to get a proper meal. But even I was like, I don't have time. That was the thing. I don't have time. It was a great financial deal. My wife wasn't wanting any Walls Viennetta. My sister wasn't in the mood for it. I think, or somebody maybe had like a wee bit, and I had a couple of slices, but we didn't have time. We had to get to the football, we had to get to the game, and I was like, this is an absolute tragedy. I had to bin the thing. Or maybe I offered it to somebody else in the shop randomly or whatever. And I feel as if that's what it's like with Rangers this season. We have got other things to do. We don't have time for an 8-game group stage. We're going to Manchester, we're going to Malmo, we're going to Nice, we're going to Greece. We've got these teams coming to Ibrox as well. 4 teams coming to Ibrox as well. I think we need the money. Financially, it's a great deal. We need the money, but I just don't think we've got the time. It's going to overstretch us. Overstretch my gut that day. I don't think it's. I don't. I'm not saying I don't want us to go through. Of course I don't. In European football, is what our kind of comeback from 2012 has been built on. But I just don't want to make an arse of ourselves. Get a win under our belt before the domestic stuff really starts biting. In terms of the squad, we're already picking up our wee injuries as you can see. I would really like us just not make an arse of ourselves. Get through this group stage. We're going to need a lot of energy just not to get pasted off Man U, Spurs, Nice and Lyon, probably. So I'm not really interested about progress. I'm probably a bit spoilt because I've seen it before. Just like I've had plenty of ice cream at the time I was given a full size Walls Viennetta to eat in the space of 5 minutes. But I just do what you can, Rangers. Look, I had something else to say, but I've got to 1 hour 7 minutes. It's ridiculous. But it was I'd ended the last pod in a bit of a cliffhanger, and I was about the pink. It was about the pink hoodies and what have you. I'm still going to say it, but I'm going to have to delay it for another pod. So but I'm going to end with another cliffhanger here. By the way, can I just say I've never been prouder than I was to be a Rangers supporter when that female journalist started reading out the question to the fellow, the Malmo manager. The Rangers fans have responded to the Malmo social media by asking, or by calling Malmo the most irrelevant team in Denmark and the smallest team in Norway. I was absolutely wetting myself. Just outstanding, folks. Absolutely outstanding. Don't ever call us Glasgow. It's just a wind up. The guys just try to be chilled. It's meant with love and all that. That's fine. But you're getting it back. Don't teach us how to slag folk. We've been in this game for years. It made me an animal. There's rules to this shit. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet on how you can get this shit slagged out you on social media. I'm going to end with another cliffhanger. Here. And it goes a little bit like this. 1961 Fiorentina, 62 Atletico Madrid, 63 Tottenham Hotspur, 64 Sporting Club de Portugal, 65 West Ham United. They beat TSV 1860. For Munich. They lost the Cup final in 1965, and they played in an all-white away kit because West Ham obviously the claret and the blue, but another sky blue team that didn't win a European final. 66 Borussia Dortmund, 67 Bayern München, 68 Milan, 69 Slovan Bratislava, 70 Manchester City, 71 Chelsea, 24th of May 1972 in the Nou Camp Stadium, Barcelona. The referee was Cortes de Monasterio of Spain, and the winning team was McCloy, Jardin,